This is Valley View News.
An oil company in South Los Angeles has caused controversy as residents in surrounding areas are complaining of health issues.
There's a drive into left.
The World Series games have had wild endings thus far, but which team will win the title?
Hello and welcome to this edition of Valley View News. I'm Jade Jenkins.
And I'm Rosie Chavez.
Conrad Murray has been released from prison. Murray was Michael Jackson's doctor and was convicted for his role in Jackson's death in 2009. Jackson died from an overdose of propofol, which the doctor administered. Jackson supporters are unhappy about the release. They say that Murray received special treatment. He served 2 years of the 4-year sentence. Murray was eligible for parole under California sentencing rules. Murray's attorney says he has not been released 1 minute early. Valley View News reporter Rosie Chavez spoke with students at Cal State Northridge. She asked them about Murray's early release and whether they thought it was fair.
Michael Jackson's dead, you know, like he had something to do with his death, and I don't think that it's fair.
I think his life is affected enough where being in prison is not going to help or hurt him anymore. So I think it's fine. I mean,
he was just probably on good behavior, but that doesn't change him, you know. He's still done something bad.
I'm wondering why they're letting him go early. They could use this opportunity to crack down and send him back in and be like, hey, everyone else, you're not getting special treatment.
Many students on campus admitted they did not follow the Conrad Murray case. An Atlantic storm's strong hurricane-strength winds have caused turmoil to northern Europe. Wind speeds have risen as high as 99 miles per hour. It has knocked out power to over 200,000 homes and caused trees to break and fall onto roads and railways. Authorities warn the heavy rain could also cause flooding. 2 deaths were confirmed, and 1 rescue crew is searching for a teenager believed to have been swept out to sea. Forecasters are calling it the region's worst storm in a decade.
A Panorama City public library has reopened after broken water pipe flooded the building. The library was damaged, but because of the accident, the library also remodeled parts of the building. Valley View News reporter Camille Rambaldi has more on the story.
Checking out books, reading, and searching for DVDs. Seems like any other day at this library. But these people have just restarted the regular routines here. This Panorama City Public Library branch has been closed for the last 4 months because of a broken water pipe that flooded the building.
It happened so fast, so the staff did really well just getting everybody out of the building and, calling the appropriate people.
She says that the library hasn't had any problems with its original pipeline since 1999 when the library opened.
There was a pipe in the women's restroom where originally had been capped with the wrong kind of metal cap.
The main areas that were flooded were the entrance hall, the security checkpoint, and the computer areas.
The broken water pipe may have damaged the floors of this building, but because of the accident, the library was not only able to install new floors, but remodel other parts of the interior as well.
Markson says that the lighting in this children's section before the flood was never enough. The skylight used to be covered with a tree that prevented light from coming in, and the walls used to be a dark color.
That was one of the very first things they said, we are going to fix that.
Markson also says that the library has a lot of services to offer.
Come over here for my kids' homework because we don't have computers at home.
He also says he enjoys the new extended DVD checkout service.
So usually it's 2 days, and if you're late, you have to pay. So that means now you can do it either coming over here or online to renew to have it, I believe, for 2 more days.
Some of the additional services a library offers include literacy classes and community service opportunities. In Panorama City, this is Camilla Rambaldi reporting for Valley View News.
5 people are dead after a Jeep crashed into a busy tourist area in China. The Jeep immediately burst into flames. The driver and passengers were among those who died in Tiananmen Square. 38 people were injured, including police officers and tourists. The cause of the crash remains unknown.
A Florida cyberbullying case could lead the way for other similar felony charges against young bullies. But the case sets itself apart nationally for several reasons. Both the victim and the defendants are children. The victim was a 12-year-old girl who committed suicide. Rebecca Sedgwick was cyberbullied by 2 of her classmates, ages 14 and 12. Sedgwick jumped from the top of an abandoned concrete plant. The 12-year-old defendant, Caitlin Roman, is charged with stalking. Roman's attorney says that she is sorry.
those statements that were released by the sheriff, those are evidence of a grieving child, someone who feels horrible and feels absolutely responsible.
Authorities say the 14-year-old Guadalupe Shaw was Sedgwick's main tormentor. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says he charged Shaw after seeing her online posting in one Facebook message. Shaw admitted that she bullied Sedgwick and said would kill herself. The sheriff says Shaw didn't seem to care. Experts say this case could give victims hope that stalkers or cyberbullies will face accountability. But some analysts say a case like this one must balance the mental state of the suicide victim and the First Amendment rights of the defendants.
People living close to the oil company Elenco Energy in South Los Angeles say they are worried about their health. Testing has shown that the air in their neighborhood is not harmful, but the people still argue that oil drilling has caused health problems for them. Mona Adem has more on the story.
We are very confused because we identify like gas plus guava plus cherry.
Monique Uriarte knew something was wrong when she and her family began getting sick 3 years ago. She did not know exactly what was happening, but she did know it was something in the air.
My whole family needs to leave to another city because we are not able to stay right here.
Uriarte is now sure that the smell is coming from this building. Located across her home in South Los Angeles, Elenco Energy is an oil company. Only visible from the rooftop, Uriarte points out the equipment used to extract oil. She believes this process is releasing dangerous chemicals that are causing health problems for herself and her daughter.
The air makes you get sick. Like, I've never had heart problems and I'm experiencing them.
But Uriarte is not the only one concerned about the site. Nancy Alpern is the executive director for Esperanza Community Housing that serves residents in South Los Angeles.
I think that this is a moment of really looking at these toxic abuses of communities, particularly in our case, low-income communities of color. We want to make sure that our communities are not abused.
Alpern says the number of complaints went up dramatically after Elenco increased its oil production.
While we have recorded approximately 270, 280 phone calls, the AQMD recognizes that in that particular time, 251 recorded phone calls were registered by them.
There was an increase of report from the neighborhood sending you complaints. Did you guys recognize that? During a phone interview, the spokesperson for South Coast Air Quality Management District, Sam Atwood, said samples indicate that residents has not been exposed to danger.
Elenco, who refused to leave any comments for the story, is not the only oil industry in Los Angeles that have caused controversy. Behind me, you will find the country's largest urban oil field, and they are known to use a new controversial drilling process.
Residents living close to Inglewood oil field claim that new drilling methods, such as fracking, is polluting the air and causing homes to crack. But California Director for Energy in Depth says it's simply silly to believe that fracking is harmful.
You're talking about taking fluid, which is 99.5% water, and a little bit of sand, and about 1/2 of 1%, a few chemicals, all of which you can find under your kitchen sink, in an open, in an open drawer. Putting it down a couple miles below ground. A lot of times when people do these drawings, they don't really give a sense of scale. So imagine a couple miles down under billions of tons of impermeable rock, where oil and gas has lived for millions, if not tens of millions of years, right? So the oil and gas has been down there. That's a fluid. It's already there. Okay, it can't defy gravity and come up by itself. It can't get through the billions of tons of impermeable rock. Now we're just replacing that fluid with other fluid.
Quest says oil drilling can create an economic renaissance in Los Angeles while providing millions of jobs.
We live around oil and gas development and have in Los Angeles throughout almost all of our history. And we're home to the Inglewood oil field, which is the largest urban oil field in the United States, surrounded by lots of, really in the middle of the second biggest city in the country. And we're governed by, and that oil field in particular is governed by the strictest regulations in the entire United States.
But regulation and transparency is exactly what geologist Dr. Tom Williams says is missing. Take this building, for example, on Pico and Genesee. Having the same color as the Elenco building, it has no windows or a direct address, and while people drive by it every day, the oil site is hidden to the public eye. Or take this tower located on Beverly Hills High School. Decorated by colorful flowers, the site inside remains invisible. Even though the investigation might take years, residents in Los Angeles say they won't give up until they achieve their goal.
It's like shut down because they're making like not only me sick, but like other people.
For Valley News, I'm Mona Adem in South Los Angeles.
United Airlines has been fined $1.1 million over tarmac delays. Passengers were stuck in grounded planes and in some cases without working restrooms. The delays took place at Chicago O'Hare International Airport in July when severe weather caused several ramp closures. U.S. Department of Transportation rule says U.S. airline domestic flights cannot remain on the tarmac more than 3 hours. The airline also failed to give passengers an opportunity to leave the plane. 939 passengers were delayed. The LA Department of Children and Family Services is removing more at-risk children from homes, but social workers are finding there aren't enough foster families willing to take them all. Christiana Kelly has more on the story.
This is the USC Medical Center's Welcome Center. The Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services has been sending an increased number of children here recently. Following the much-publicized torture death of Gabriel Fernandez, social workers responding to calls have removed thousands of children from their homes. DCFS Director Philip Browning says more people are reporting incidents.
Within the last 3 months, and I predict that some of this is due to the media attention on some child welfare cases, more people are calling.
This has caused a new crisis for the foster care system. Children have no foster homes to go to. They are staying at the Welcome Center, sometimes for days at a time until they're placed.
Now, I couldn't speak with any of the children here today. I would have had to obtain permission from the courthouse and from the parents and the lawyers before speaking with them, but there are children here at the center today.
DCFS Assistant Regional Administrator Mari Cruz Trevino says it's not the same as a loving home.
I mean, all the children are experiencing some form of trauma, some form of abuse, and that's why they're here. And so we do our best.
The legal limit for stays at the Welcome Center is 24 hours, but that is frequently exceeded. The center is a child-friendly place full of videos, games, and books for kids to read. There are places to sleep and meals are provided. But Director Browning says this does not substitute for a home.
Even though it's a very nice, child-friendly place, it's so sad that they had to be there instead of being with a loving foster parent.
Michael J. Jackson was involved with gangs and placed in foster care. He said his experience in the foster care system has changed his life for the better.
Being here in the system it's a bad thing, but it's good that I got to be here to take care of those problems and stuff like that. And now today I don't have any those issues.
We desperately need more foster homes to help take care of Los Angeles County's children.
Browning says he encourages singles, married couples, divorced people, and same-sex partners to consider fostering. In Los Angeles, I'm Christiana Kelly, Valley View News.
Newport Beach surfers are fighting over the big wave spot known as the Wedge. The Wedge gets its name from the way two incoming waves collide as one of them bounces off the rock jetty. The result is a powerful wave favored by body surfers. Recently, a debate among surfers has intensified on who gets to spend more time catching a piece of the wedge. For the last 20 years, boards have been banned from the water between the hours of 10 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. The ordinance was started so body surfers can catch the waves, but Newport Beach board enthusiasts are saying this is unfair. City officials say they are considering whether to remove the ban on boards, shorten it, or leave it.
The University of Southern California is increasing its campus security. After 4 students were shot last year at a Halloween party, USC has been restricting access to the campus at night. Student organizations are required to pay for extra security for all events. Campus officials say that this year USC spent $11,000 on security for the student government's annual Welcome Back concert. This was double last year's cost. Students have also been required to pay a fee of more than $50 each semester to help fund campus security. Some USC students say the new laws are becoming too strict. Other students say they understand why the campus security should be increased.
A Cerrito statue of India's Mahatma Gandhi is the center of dispute between 2 groups of immigrants from India. One group says Gandhi was not the great leader he was thought to be. The other side defends him. Valley View News reporter Rosie Chavez has the story.
This Gandhi statue has been the subject of a recent protest. A group wants the statue removed because they say he was a sex offender, among other things. In Artesia, which is known as Little India, people had different views about the matter.
I respect him, certainly, there's no question.
I don't really know much about him.
From a lawyer to a successful person to a very simple person, very simple clothes, but most powerful.
The Organization for Minorities of India coordinated the protest. They didn't respond to any email messages, and a phone number was not listed on its website. But a Facebook page shows the group advocates for Indian Americans from different religions other than Hindi. Hindi is a major religion in India. Gandhi was a Hindu. A religious studies professor at California State University, Northridge, Phyllis Herman says the claims about Gandhi's sexual behavior are misinterpreted.
He slept with young women. And when I say he slept with young women, I mean he slept next to them. We have no indication that they were naked. That's number one. Number two, there are those who are going to say it was a way to test his absolute denial.
The 6-foot metal statue is located on Carmenita Road at Nalandra Boulevard, in front of the Chugh Law Firm. One of the partners of the firm, Hemant Patel, says he is proud of the statue and disagrees with protesters' claims.
They are thinking that Gandhi was not a great leader. That's their view.
The statue stands on private property. It was first installed in 2011, but was taken down a year ago for repairs, and it was reinstalled earlier this year. But as far as the permanent removal,
statue will stay there forever.
the Chugh Law Firm behind me isn't the only or first location where protesters have asked the city to remove a Gandhi statue. Other cities include Austin, Dallas, and Sacramento. In Cerritos, I'm Rosie Chavez for Valley View News. Coming up in sports, Game 4 of the World Series ended in spectacular fashion. Plus, find out which big leaguer will need surgery before he can return to the field.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
So Noor, how are you feeling about the World Series?
Well, Rosie, the last two games have ended in controversy, but it's still anyone's series. Exactly 9 years after the Boston Red Sox swept the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series, the two teams met again for Game 4. The Red Sox came into the game down in the series 2-1. Boston outfielder Johnny Gomes came to the plate in the 6th inning in a 1-1 tie with 2 outs and 2 runners on. With the count 2-2, Gomes sent the next pitch over the wall to give Boston a 4-1 lead over the Cardinals. The game ended when Boston closer Koji Uehara picked off Cardinals rookie Colton Wong at first base. This is the first time in over 1,400 postseason games that a game has ended that way. The Red Sox won the game 4-2. The World Series was evened with each team having won 2 games. Detroit Tigers third baseman Miguel Cabrera is scheduled to undergo surgery to fix a tear in his groin. The injury has limited the slugger's performance during the playoffs. Unlike his .384 batting average during the season, his playoff average dropped to .262. Cabrera says he made the decision after talking it over with his team. He also says he's unaware of any recovery details, but hopes to heal soon. Number 2 Oregon and number 17 UCLA were tied at 14, all going into halftime. But the Oregon Ducks scored 28 unanswered points to give them a 42-14 win over the Bruins. Halfway through the third quarter, the Ducks scored on a touchdown from running back Byron Marshall. Marshall scored again in the fourth quarter. He had 133 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. Quarterback Marcus Mariota had 230 yards. That gave the Ducks a record of 8-0. Utah came to the Coliseum to play USC, a stadium where they have not won since 1916. The Trojans continued that streak as they beat Utah 19-3. USC quarterback Cody Kessler passed for 230 yards. Trojans kicker Andre Haidari kicked 4 field goals. USC has now won 2 out of 3 games under interim coach Ed Orgeron. The San Francisco 49ers took on the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley Stadium in London, England. The Jaguars were slotted as the home team at London's iconic soccer venue. There were over 83,000 spectators, and many were showing support for the Jaguars. But the 49ers came out on top with a 42-10 victory. 49ers running back Frank Gore ran for the first touchdown. 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick rushed for the next 2 of 3 touchdowns. He had over 200 yards, rushed for 2 touchdowns, and threw for another. This was the 5th straight win for the 49ers. The Detroit Lions beat the Dallas Cowboys 31-30. Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson had a record-setting day with 329 yards. Johnson was 7 yards short of the NFL record set in 1989 by Flipper Anderson. With just under 7 minutes left in the game, the Cowboys took a 27-17 lead. The Lions got the ball back on their own 20-yard line, down by 6 with no timeouts and just over a minute to go. They got the ball to the Cowboys' 1-yard line. Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford surprised everyone on the field by lunging over the Cowboys lineman and into the end zone to give the Lions the game-winning victory. The Lions' record is 5-3. Miami Dolphins center Mike Pouncey was subpoenaed in the investigation of Aaron Hernandez, and it happened right outside the team locker room. 2 state police officers handed him the subpoena in the hallway between the Dolphins locker room and the team bus. The investigation is about the former tight end's potential involvement in gun trafficking. Pouncey was a college teammate of Hernandez, but he has not been charged with a crime. Both the Dolphins organization and Pouncey did not have a comment. Former Laker head coach Bill Sharman has died. The 87-year-old former NBA player and coach was in poor health after suffering a mild stroke. Sharman is one of only 3 people who have been enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame as both a player and coach. An 8-time All-Star, Sharman led the NBA in free throw percentage 7 times. As part of his charitable work, he set up a raffle to give away the 2010 championship ring he won as a consultant for the Lakers. The Ladies Professional Golf Association has waived its age requirement to allow for 16-year-old Lydia Ko to become a member. Members are required to be at least 18 years old, but she petitioned for a change. Ko became the youngest winner of an LPGA event when she won the Canadian Women's Open last year. This year, she defended the title. That's all for now. Back to you.
Coming up next, are buildings in Los Angeles prepared to withstand a major earthquake? Plus, in tech news, new products are headed to stores just in time for the holiday season.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
The American Red Cross has worked hard to teach people how to prepare for the next big earthquake in Los Angeles area. But are the buildings we see every day ready too? Reporter Stephanie Marroquin takes us to the heart of LA for the story.
When people think of LA, images of palm trees, Hollywood stars, and iconic landmarks come into mind. But experts believe the latest earthquake hazard could not only devastate many people's lives, but also cause structurally unfit buildings to come crashing down. The hazard states there is an 80 to 90% chance that Southern California will be hit by a 7-point or greater earthquake before 2024. And according to the LA Times, over thousands of buildings are at risk. Some of the most recognizable and historical ones are Capitol Records, the Pantages Theater, and the Hollywood Plaza.
I haven't really ever considered the possibility of buildings collapsing, so it's a scary possibility.
Retrofitting, a process which could involve reframing and rebarring, is one possible solution. However, one local structural engineering firm says the time needed to begin drawing out and approving development schemes could take a year.
It's important that these mandates go through quickly and efficiently, otherwise there are lives at risk.
Geology and tectonics professor John Yule says an earthquake could possibly affect Hollywood.
It depends where the earthquake is sourced. So in general, the closer one is to the epicenter of the earthquake, the more likely to have the stronger ground shaking and greater damage. There's a lot of information that goes into making a forecast. by all accounts, the forecast gives a pretty high likelihood of a damaging earthquake in the next 10 to 30 years or so.
Although many of these buildings are still waiting for the retrofitting mandate to be approved, people should start acting now and prepare for the next big one. From Hollywood, I'm Stephanie Marroquin for Valley View News.
And now we have Camilla for the technology report. So can you tell us what to expect for this holiday season?
There's going to be plenty to choose from between the Apple products and the Google products, so we'll see. Apple finally revealed its latest product that it hinted back in early October. The company will be releasing the iPad Air. The Air will weigh only 1 pound and feature a 9.7-inch screen. The new iPad was shown at an event in San Francisco that revealed all of its features. It will cost $499 and will be released worldwide in early November. Apple iOS 7 users are reporting a daylight savings time glitch. The line marking the current time in the calendar is off by an hour. As an example, people for whom the current time is 6 a.m. would see 7 a.m. marked instead. The bug seemed to affect only the current time display. The time is correct in other systems, other locations. In the U.S., daylight savings time doesn't start until November 3rd. However, countries in Europe, the Middle East, and other regions made the switch this past weekend. Reviews are in for the latest iOS 7 updates. iOS 7 is considered more of a renovation than an innovation. Many are saying Apple did an impressive job of redesigning every visual element of the platform while still managing to maintain familiarity for longtime users. Some features stand out, like Control Center, giving people quick access to the most used system tools. Users also say the iOS 7's design seems to be more like other mobile operating systems, such as Android and Windows Phone. Apple's newest software update has been downloaded and installed on more than 200 million devices. For the tech-savvy consumer, there are a ton of new products for the holiday season. The Google Chromecast allows users to stream video from their tablet, laptop, or smartphone to their TV. In order to function, it connects to the same Wi-Fi network that the portable device is using. Next-generation consoles Xbox One and PS4 are expected to sell in record numbers this Christmas. The PS4's release date is November 15th, with Xbox One on November 22nd. People trying to lose weight or just manage calories may be interested in the Fitbit Flex. The device keeps track of steps, distance, calories burned, and active minutes, and displays the results throughout the day. The iPad remains the most desirable holiday gift for kids and teens. Apple's iPod Touch and iPhone come in at second and third. Twitter is reportedly worth $11 billion. That's lower than the $15 to $20 billion valuation some experts had predicted. Twitter set the preliminary price range for its initial public offering at $17 to $20 per share. Advertising accounted for 85% of Twitter's revenue in 2012. Mobile ads brought in 70% of its total ad revenue. 3/4 of Twitter's monthly active users access the service on a mobile device. And that's all for technology. Back to you.
Thank you for watching this edition of Valley View News. I'm Jade Jenkins.
And I'm Rosie Chavez. Have a great week.